Hello Shelly people, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to my channel. Should we even get into how long it's been? I don't think there's any point. But I promised myself, therefore I'm promising you, that I'm going to be consistent. The only thing is my consistency is going to look a little bit different than maybe some of your fave influencers, just because I'm not an influencer. First of all, I have a full-time job and it takes up a lot of my energy because I'm running the business myself. And also anyone who knows me knows that I need social media breaks. Like, it's actually not possible for me to make social media full-time for myself because I have to take breaks. It's just how my mental health is sort of set up. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I put out 2 videos every month, but I will also put like nuggets and stuff on my feed so that information is still coming. But to actually make these videos, because I always want to make sure that they're, you know, properly informative and properly researched and stuff, and it's just extremely difficult for me to do both at this time. So yeah, that's what's gonna happen. So that will allow me to take some periods offline and just focus on myself, my work, my family and stuff, but still at least you will know that information is coming, you know, more regularly than it has been now. I honestly think it's been like 6 months since I've made a video, which it just sounds insane to me. Anyway, so today what I'm going to talk about is bio-individuality. I'm going to explain what that concept is. I'm going to explain some of the reasons why it's important to know about it, and also how you can figure out your own bio-individual needs. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. So bio-individuality is the concept that no 2 people have the same biological needs. So when that comes to health and wellness, it means that forms of movement or exercise that work for one person might not work for another person. Consuming certain foods will work for one group of people and not for the other. So you know the popular saying, one man's meat is another man's poison. Quite literally, like, most people are gluten tolerant, for example, but some people have celiac disease and they're completely unable to process gluten, and it's just down to their individual biological needs. Now, I'll start right off with an example. I have 2 older brothers. We have the same parents, but we are physiologically so different. We grew up eating the same food, having the same snacks, but my brothers are tall and slim, like very slim built, like my mom's side of the family. I am like an average height, and I have never been like a slim person, like definitely not like my brothers. I have a completely different stature from them. My weight fluctuates, so sometimes I gain a lot of weight, sometimes I lose weight, but we're very different. But it has been like that since our childhood. So even in adulthood, where obviously we have different lives and we obviously eat differently, when we were children, we were on the same regimen, and I was the only one that was having issues with my weight, technically. So it just goes to show that even within the same family, our bio-individual needs were different. I, before maybe last year, had been on and off diet since I was like 16. My brothers, if they've ever gone on a diet, more likely is to try and gain weight than lose weight. So we have the same parents, we have the same genes technically, but the way our genetic makeup is completely different. So the same food we were eating, the same sort of, maybe they had a bit more fitness levels because my brothers played football and stuff growing up. But when it came to like how we ate and lifestyle and stuff, it was pretty much the same when we were children, but our bodies were processing them differently. Now, why is it important to understand bio-individuality? It's extremely important because if you don't understand your individual physiological and biological needs, you're going to be basically hitting your head against a brick wall, doing what you think is for you, that your body completely is not interested in. And so your body will be having reactions that you're not happy with. You won't be happy with your health, your wellness, and you'll be thinking that you're doing something wrong. This just leads you to sort of spiral and think that there's something wrong with you and wondering why things are working out for everyone else, but when you try them, you don't seem to be getting results. More likely than not, this is because you are not paying attention to your bio-individual needs. There's so much confusion. We're absorbing so much information about the right diet, the right exercise. Literally every year or two, there's a new fad, there are new ads coming out, and you think to yourself, aha, maybe this one will work for me. When it comes to our health and wellness, we really don't trust ourselves. We're always looking for someone on the outside to tell us what our bodies need. But what we really need to be doing is tuning in to ourselves and listening to what our bodies need. And you sort of have to relearn how to do that. Children do this just fine. You have children when they're growing where, moms will be just saying, oh, he or she is not eating anymore, or, they used to love this, but they don't love that. It's because they're just listening to their bodies. So when you bring something to them, if they're not hungry or they don't feel like eating, literally unless they're ill, it's normal, it's intuitive. So they're like, no, I don't want this, no, I don't like this, And we've all been like that when we were children, but we've learned that we don't know what's best for us and that we need external factors to communicate to our bodies what we need. Now, of course, there are certain things that we've incorporated in our diet over the years that are not so great for us, especially in copious amounts. And so I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, well, what my body wants is 5 burgers a day and French fries and, I don't know, whatever you think is like inappropriate for you to be eating. But you now need to distinguish between what your cravings and habits are and what your body actually wants in terms of energy, in terms of nutrients, just feeling good. So there's a wide range of things that actually affect your bio-individual needs. Things that range from genetics to allergies, your fat distribution, your genetic composition, even your environment. So you can find that when you are in one place, maybe you're in a happier place, maybe you have like organic and fresh foods around you, so you find that your health and wellness is in a much better place when you're in one environment than, for example, if you're in a toxic or abusive situation that's leading you to seek comfort in foods and other things like that. So your environment can also determine that, because you do have some people who are in a toxic situation and they gain a lot of weight, and you have people who are in a toxic situation and they lose a lot of weight. So individually, our bodies react in specific ways to stimulus, external stimulus, and also stuff that we consume. So it's important to start understanding, for yourself, what is it that actually works for your body and puts you in the best position when it comes to your health. So let's talk a little bit about how you can start understanding your bio-individual needs. The first thing I'll say right off the bat is that it requires a lot of patience, trial and error. So one of the things you can do is to start actually paying attention from the moment you crave a food till you consume it, till you digest it, about how your body feels. So try, for example, when you're having a meal, think about why you went for that choice in the first place. Is it an emotional decision? Were you hungry and your body was asking for energy? Or is this just a time of day where you just have that habit of going after the meal? The next thing is to think about how you feel while eating the meal. Do you actually enjoy it? Do you actually get satisfaction from eating it? Because one of the reasons why people tend to overeat is a lack of satisfaction in the meal. So if, for example, you're forcing yourself to eat certain foods because you've heard that they're good for you, but you're not getting satisfaction from them. So maybe half an hour after you finish the so-called good meal, you find yourself then going for snacks or going for something else because you just weren't satisfied with that experience. So while you're eating, also pay attention to how you feel about the meal and if you feel satiated afterwards. The next thing is to pay attention to how your body is processing the meal. Do you have cramps? Do you have gas? Do you feel nauseous? Or do you just feel good? Do you feel that do you feel energized as well? So that will give you an idea of what your body thinks of this thing that you've just eaten. So yes, pay attention to your mind, which is why did you go for this thing in the first place? Pay attention to your taste buds, which is, did I enjoy this? Pay attention to your fullness, so were you satisfied and satiated by the meal? And then pay attention to the fallout, basically, from that meal, and if it's positive or negative. Now, I'm not saying you should throw away all the dietary guidelines and advice that you've ever heard. Absolutely not. There's a basic foundation for what is actually good for us to consume. So, fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, all these things are generally important for us as human beings. Now, the difference will lie in which of those things that you choose. So some people have allergies to certain fruits or aversion to, let's say, the sugar content in certain fruits. So that one person, so my husband, for example, cannot stand watermelon for any reason. He says it's like, he doesn't like the consistency, so that's the taste aspect of it. And after he consumes it, it makes him feel nauseous. So watermelon is completely off the table for him. But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't eat any fruits at all. It just means that he's gonna have to narrow them down to whatever his bio-individual preferences are. Another thing is when it comes to physical activity. There are communities around the world where they've never heard of a gym, but they have populations that are living to like the ages of 90 and 100 and even beyond that. Studies have shown that just even 30 minutes of consistent physical activity a day, so in some of these communities, even if it's just farming, harvesting, rearing cattle, just taking walks around the town, around the community, that has been sufficient to maintain their health when it comes to physical activity. So a lot of why we now have gyms and all these fitness classes and everything that we go to is because we live such a sedentary life, but there are a wide variety of options to incorporate that movement into your life. So movement is absolutely essential. We were not designed to sit 24 hours a day or lie down or be constantly in a state of relaxation. We actually do have to get the heart rate up a little bit, move around, and also kind of explore the gamut of movement that the body is able to do. It doesn't always have to be high intensity. The main thing is to remain consistent. And in order to remain consistent, you kind of have to look forward to doing it. So even though, yes, there's an element of discipline, of course, where you have to say to yourself, no matter what, I'm going to get in 30 minutes of something every day. It can be something as basic as gardening. Like me taking care of my plants sometimes is as much physical activity as I get in one day. But that's something that I love to do, right? So it doesn't always have to be pumping iron. It can actually just be having a good time, spending time with your friends, but not necessarily sitting back and laying back. You can actually have physical activities that you share with people that you love. Another thing is, while you're trying to figure it out, you can also pay more attention to replacing than simply removing certain things from your diet. So if you find that there's something that you really like the taste of, but physically it doesn't really do your body any good, or maybe it actually harms your body and how you feel when you're digesting it, as opposed to saying, oh, now I have to stop eating this thing, consider things that you can replace it with. So even if you're going to remove it from your diet, start to explore and research options of something similar, or maybe even something different, but something that you can use to fill that void that is good and that is beneficial for you. So if, for example, you're beginning to transition away from processed foods to more cooked whole foods, just think about the alternatives that you can use to replace those things in your diet. So all this is to say that you really need to just customize your approach to your health and wellness. If you hear about different diets that you like, no worries, you can try elements of them as long as you're not depriving yourself too much and you're not starving yourself either. You can take different elements from different diets as long as you're doing them in line with your bio-individual needs. Accepting our bio-individuality is absolutely freeing, and honestly, unless you want to become like an Insta model, or being an Insta model is your career, that does not need to be a goal that you prioritize over your general health and wellness. You will get to your true weight, you will get to your ideal state if you just listen to yourself, listen to your body, and actually make a conscious effort to care for your body. You actually have the power to heal yourself. We're just used to thinking that other people know the answers to our problems. But everything that your body wants, your body is actually telling you. Our bodies send us all sorts of signals. There's pain, there's itching, there's bloating. All these things are our body saying, this is causing me an issue, you need to do something different. So that's it from me for today. I just wanted to sort of talk about this topic because I personally have found it so freeing, and I'm still on that journey of getting to understand myself. So there's still things that I eat. I love how they taste. I know they don't make me feel good, but I love them so much. I'm still trying to figure out what can I replace this with. Where is this even coming from? Like, why do I have such a desire for this thing? It's a journey, but what I found is that the journey is the gift. Like, it's actually so liberating to start, getting to know myself again and understand what my body needs. And I invite you to do the same. If you like this video, please share it with friends and family, like and subscribe. And yeah, nothing good in life has ever missed you because of belly fat.